just to be direct with it, what we are and what we're moving through is, our own energy numbness and our own energy self definition from a secret root. Because there's different parts of us that are just, having this energy track record of us being defined in different contexts. We're defined physiologically with just like, the standard things that make the human click and connect and, formulate itself to be together already as is. And then how we've more or less engaged and participated with the human project and without it, and how we're giving energies to it and taking away energies from it, because the spirit and the human realm, they're extremely different things. And since they're different things, like, once we all have a different track record with our own soul. Worry about yourself, my good friend, or whatever adage you want to use from whatever tradition of, and hopefully it has resurfaced to some real modern purity, to some sort of real harmonic purity, ethical purity, whatever type of purity you could gander and galley up. But we're mentally numb, spiritually numb, and physically numb. And physically numb is not good or bad. It's just that we've been like, we're unraveling the seed potential of the definition, the standard compression, not the good, not the bad compression, just the compression of the human being. And within that human being, we're also mentally numb to like all the other stuff. And if we don't have the intelligence can't nourish and foster the body in itself, which is the irony of Beyond the Moon. Because that's how that's the notion of the moon got created, by that, for the spirit to be served into the physical material containers and instruments and encapsulants, and any other quarters and chirometers of just what it actually is, an instrument in itself, such as like a chemical bearing container, or something of that nature. And then seeing like the container of the universe, which I asked that like early 2020, probably 2019, off the cuff, in that manner. And within that, we're just mentally not, and if we don't have that mental, because the moon itself, it's the body's mind to the different mental minds and all the other minds, not just other bodies' minds, and then eventually to the spiritual mind. So that's what the moon precisely is, because the moon corresponds to the willpower in human design, the moon to the heart chakra, fourth house heart chakra, fourth house G center, and willpower center, heart chakra center. You have to look at the human design body graph, and the heart chakra has 4 gates. So it's in that canal of like G center, heart chakra, some new SP is there, the spleen is there, etc., and then the throat's there. So the moon is in that region where it's being like a thing, and the moon is the heart chakra, so the moon is the willpower. So what the moon represents, and the new moon represents, and the full moon represents, and we're all the new moons and the full moons at each different moment, because we're that differentiationalized in our own inner energy algorithm within the body's algorithm, aside from the digital algorithm to the spiritual algorithm. So 4 main algorithms respectively. And within that, we're drawing our own new moon with how the collective program is doing its own thing. We're getting influenced by, reorientating ourselves with, and we've already had a spiritual past participate, or energy past participation, that has different densities, lighter for better or for worse, or not, or heavier for better or for worse. And that's, and we're a part of that one story, not just like using the rhetoric of it, or not just like, but like, and not actually being like esoterically exclusive, being esoterically inclusive somehow, meaning seeing the whole picture, working with the picture, recognizing that just the information that we didn't have is actually harming us, because what you don't know will, not be your benefit on a different energy principle. And within that, the moon is representing, the new moon is representing that it within a different collective field, for better or for worse, how the moon is getting created from a new moon point. It's a reflection of a different realm, and everything else is a reflection from a different realm. And those different realms have their own share of chaos and, hyper order, and those fuse, they collide, and then they settle, and then they create the next realm, and then it gets more distilled and compressed. And we're a reflection of, the chaos and the order. We're just a micro shadow, and the shadow not being good or bad, just that which is lesser, pure light, and not the artificial light, not our human light, and not the other, mental lights that we could create just based on its subtle, unravelances and circumambulation nickelnesses, but or something of that nature. So like the thing, what I'm saying is the moon is correspondent to our willpower. It's our body's mind and how we're pursuing nourishment and nurturement. And as our body's mind, our willpower fluctuates and comes and goes based on how we're getting nourished and cultivated in our willpower chakra. So within that, the moon is our body's mind's willpower. So we're having new willpower to correspond to the correlations and the constellations of the programmings of the space and time, and the time and space that we're in, per the constellations, per how the earth is just moving in a certain particular cycle within a different, something of like a vibrational hopfical type of movement, you know what I mean? And within that, we're like kind of like we're redefining ourselves energetically all of the time. And as we're energetically redefining ourselves all the time, we've been compressed within our body's code. We're starting off with our physical numbness, and we have a lot of mental numbness. And spiritual numbness means your overall spiritual participation with pure spiritual energy, as opposed to like ladder material energy, because the new moon is just on a house level, a yin fixed level. It's the fourth house, but the new moon is in the Ajna chakra, according to a different esoteric spiritual divinity masculine admin cadmin format template type of body. That's the human design body graph. And within that, the moon is somehow corresponding to the new moon of the quote unquote mental, spiritual, and physical willpower, casually, as that fluctuates through the different contexts of quote unquote looshing, just the byproduct energy of how mental ideals, physical ideals, and spiritual ideals combust, clash, and collide, creating a particular type of loosh. So the new moon is in it's in the Ajna chakra, and we're being able to have a new vision on how to have willpower within what the story is, from like a casual, neutral astrology and human design perspective. So obviously I'm going to do a part 2 on this, because I only have like 14 seconds because the memory and stuff.